We're in a state, an example that I often use is this. If you imagine something in your mind, picture something, whatever that may be. Let it be the letter W. As long as you're thinking about that letter, as long as you picture the letter in your mind, it exists. Yet someone suddenly slams the door behind you and you're distracted. You look at the source of the sound. Where is that letter? It's gone. It's non-existent. It ceases to exist completely and utterly. If you imagine the letter W again, that's a new letter that you've had to create in the solitude of your mind. The original one is gone. Our existence is like that. If God suspends His ever-increasing ability, power, the fact that we exist, if He suspends that, just like if the electric current was suspended from this light for a fraction of a second, we cease to exist. So that's the first statement that the Imam says encompasses knowledge at its entirety. For us to just think about that for a few minutes really can change us. Then the Imam says, وَأَن تَعْصِ اللَّهِ عَلَى قَدَرِ صَبْرِكَ عَلَى النَّارِ. And to sin, to transgress, to oppress, to cross the limits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for us, as much as you can bear the pain of the fires of hell. Let me say something here, brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. He knows every single little detail because He created it. If He wants us to suffer, He really knows how to make us suffer. Just let me give you a few snapshots of the fires of hell. أَعَاذَنَ اللَّهُ وَإِيَّاكُمْ مِنْهَا. May we never hear the roars of the fires of hell, let alone seeing the fires of hell, or God forbid, coming into contact with it. The fires of hell, pitch black darkness. ثُمَّ لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. Let's just talk about this verse very briefly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those who are in the fires of hell, they neither die nor are they alive. They're in a suspended state between life and death. If they were to die, that would be a blessing to them. But they don't die. If they were alive, at least they would enjoy the benefits of life. But they're not alive either. All the factors that contribute to the death of a person, of a human being, exist. But death as an ingredient is non-existent. What are the factors that bring death to us? Well, there is absolute loss of hope. This is by far one of the worst pains in the fires of hell. When someone is drowning, they always have hope at the very bottom of their hearts that somehow they'll survive. Somehow someone will extend a helping hand. Somehow someone will throw a tube. Somehow a ship or a boat will come past and will help them. Or if someone is going through adversity, going through tribulation, going through trial, at the end of the day, they have hope that God will forgive them, that Allah will have mercy upon them. In the fires of hell, there is absolute loss of hope. There is nothing that can help you. If God can't, no one can. If God won't, no one can. God, of course, can, but He won't. In fact, according to one tradition, when people are divided into those who go to heaven and those who go to hell, when it all comes to an end, when everyone has assumed their position, فَيُطْبِقُ اللَّهُ عَلَى النَّارِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will seal the fires of hell shut. ثُمَّ يُنْسِي ذِكْرَهُمْ. Those people who are in hell, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the others who are in heaven forget all about them. So they wouldn't even ask God for mercy for them. They're gone. ثُمَّ يُنْسِي ذِكْرَهُمْ ثُمَّ يُنْسِي نَفْسَهُ ذِكْرَهُمْ. And God will make Himself forget their remembrance. Allah doesn't forget. But in other words, the tradition is telling us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never, ever, ever mention those people ever again. They're sealed shut inside the fires of hell. What are the fires of hell? A'udhu billah. So the Imam says, you want to commit sins? You want to transgress? Be my guest. Knock yourself out. Do whatever you want. But only do so as much as you can bear the pain. Imam al-Hussein says to one of the companions who comes to him and he says to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, sin is very enticing. It's very tasteful. It's something that I have to do. I must do it. I can't stop myself. Imam says to him, you really want to sin? I'll give you the key. I'll give you the secret that would unlock your inability to commit sins. You want to commit sins? Let me let you in on a little secret that will help you and enable you commit sins. All you have to do is suffice and fulfill 3 conditions. The first condition, this will really unlock that ability. You could all commit, we could commit, I could go ahead and commit sins if I could do these 3 things. The first, leave God's kingdom. Go somewhere where God isn't God. Go somewhere where God is not in control. Go somewhere where God lacks the authority over that world. That's the first condition. Simple enough. The second, the Imam says to him, you want to commit sins? Well, don't take from God's sustenance. Don't use God's sustenance. The rizq of God, don't use that. Use somebody else's sustenance. You want food, get it from someone other than God or other than someone who got it from God. The third, when the angel of death approaches you, when Azrael comes to you to take your soul, try to prevent him from doing so. That's all it takes. You want to commit sins, go right ahead and do it. So that's the second statement the commander of the faithful says. أَن تَعْصِ اللَّهَ عَلَى قَدَرِ صَبْرِكَ عَلَى النَّارِ. The third statement, which encompasses knowledge in its entirety, the Imam says, وَأَن تَعْمَلْ لِآخِرَتِكَ عَلَى قَدَرِ مُكُوثِكَ فِيهَا. To work for the purpose of your hereafter as much as the time you will be spending in the hereafter. How much time will we spend in the hereafter? Eternity. Eternity is one concept that we can't even fathom. We can't comprehend the concept of eternity from a mathematical perspective. How long will we spend there? Well, the people in the fires of hell, one tradition states that one day they will say to Malik, the gatekeeper of the fires of hell, Ya Malik, liyaqdi alayna rabbuk. O Malik, ask your God. One reason that God keeps them in hell is this. They choose not to recognize the authority of God. They deliberately, after going through death, after going through life, after being resurrected, after facing the pains of the fires of hell, they say, O Malik, ask your own God to annihilate us, to destroy us. We don't want this anymore. So they send this message to Malik. Malik goes, comes back in 30,000 years. Talk about a slow internet connection. It's not like you can ask God for anything and expect a response instantaneously. 30,000 years he comes back and says, إِنَّكُمْ فِيهَا مَاكِثُونَ. No, sorry, you're staying. Another tradition that states that, talking once again about the fires of hell, that people in hell, na'udhu billah, they block the pain that is being attracted to their bodies with what? If a father wanted to beat his son, or if someone threw a punch at you and they were aiming for your face, what do? You protect your face. In fact, if you were being hit anywhere around the body, the first thing you do is protect your face. If you can't protect your body, at least you want to protect your face, right? The Quran states that people in the fires of hell will block the pain that is coming towards their body, whatever that pain may be. We can't even begin to imagine what it's like with their face.